Hello, hello, hello. Good evening. Good evening. This is Marcy Thomas, founder of Brown Girl Collective and the BGC Book Club, coming to you live. Just waiting to see who all is going to come in and join us this evening. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. It's indeed a pleasure to have you here with us tonight, a couple of minutes early, and our guest speaker will be coming on here shortly. So, hey, I see someone saying, hey, how you doing out there? Let me put up a notice for you guys just to make sure that depending on where you are, we may or may not be able to see your comments. So there is a space. I'm going to give you some instructions on how to do that. So hopefully you can see that now. Visit StreamYard to give permission so we'll be able to see your name and know who all is actually here. So how's everybody doing this evening? Doing good? The inspiration for my Marcy painting, I love mine. Okay. I can't see who that is, but yes, I thank you for noticing that. Actually, some paintings behind me are some paintings that I did myself personally. One of the things that I have been doing during the last couple of years I have started. Oh, hey, Tiffany, I thought it was probably you. Okay, as it says at the bottom of the screen, you should, if you go and give StreamYard permission for your name to show up, then I'll actually be able to put some of your comments up on the screen as we progress throughout the evening. So. Well, once again, welcome. This is my first time actually ever going live with Brown Girl Collective. In case you're new to the collective, it has actually been around for about 10 years now, actually going into the 11th year. And it would be just something that I wanted to do different is to actually start interacting more with you all, not just posting information about, inspirational women and things of that nature, but to also be able to come before you live and share great women that are doing great things. Hey, Greg, I see you from Fort Worth. Nice to see you. Yes, drop a note in the comments to let us know where you're checking in from, and that'll be a good way just to kind of see. So Greg is here from Fort Worth. It's good to see you. Monica is here from Detroit. Okay. Good to see you here. So just waiting a few moments and we'll start getting into this. As I was saying recently, probably about a month or so ago, I went ahead and launched the Brown Girl or BGC Book Club as a way to just share my love of literature and my love of great Black women who have written books and just have great things to say to us, whether it be that they are, okay, yes, I got you, Tiffany. I can see you now. Thank you. I did that as a way for us, once again, as I said, for us to get together, but also just to share my love of literature and being able to share that with others. As I grew up as a child, my father gave me a love of reading, and it's something that I've always wanted to share with others. And this is just a great format for us to do that. So I'm going to go ahead. Okay, we got Heather G from Winnipeg. All right, so we got someone from Canada. That's great. So I do see that our guest is standing by waiting for us to welcome her this evening. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a quick overview of her life, give you her background, and then we're going to go ahead and bring our special guest on for the evening. Leslé Honoré is a Blaxican poet, artivist, and author of Fist and Fire, a collection of powerful, unflinching poems that confront issues of social justice through the lens of real human lives and voices, and dives into the flames of love within the context of relationship. In her poetry and life, she works to empower youth to find their voices through the arts and inspire people to stand in the gaps that social, economic, and racial inequities create. She challenges readers, inviting them to think, feel, and consider how to create spaces where everyone can thrive. She hopes that through her work, she can help give voices to people who are often silenced, unheard, and feel invisible. Her pieces about Serena Williams and Doria Roberts went viral on social media and expanded the reach of her work to an international audience. Poetry has always been how she expressed herself, discovering her writer's voice in childhood. She further honed her work at Xavier University of Louisiana, where she studied English, literature, and Spanish. She was a featured speaker at the inaugural TEDx Grand Boulevard in 2020. She has spoken and read her work at the Obama Foundation convenings and events, the Elevated Chicago Symposium, Chicago's 19th Amendment commemoration, the University of Illinois Chicago Speaking Anarcha's Name, the Mercantile Library in Cincinnati, and at events including the Silver Room Block Party and National Period Day. She has been featured in the New York Times, the Chicago Tribune, WBEZ, NPR, The Kendall Moore Show, and all major Chicago TV news outlets. In October 2019, she was honored as the Community Partner of the Year by One on One. She also hosts a web-based series, Bestie Shine, with her friend, artist David Anthony Geary. Born and raised in Gardena, California, she remains deeply rooted in the heritage and culture of her father, a native of New Orleans, and her mother, who was born in Mexico and immigrated to the US when she was 15. Leslé lives in Chicago with her 3 phenomenal children, Sage, Solomon, and Scarlett, and she currently works there in the nonprofit field. She believes in HBCUs and that tacos and gumbo without kale can save the world. She has another book that will be coming out in 2020, but I'm going to go ahead and bring her on and she can tell you more and share some of her wonderful poetry with us. So here we go. Go ahead and bring her on. Make sure we can see her. Hold up 1 second. Okay, she keeps popping off. One moment here. Sorry for the technical difficulty. There we go. Hey! Hey, how are you doing? Well, for some reason, I cannot hear you, so let me make sure I do the right thing so that I can hear you. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to turn this off and try to go without my Bluetooth. Well, give me 1 second here. Can everyone else hear her okay? Please let us know if you can hear. Can you still hear me? Okay, so let me see, make sure. No, they cannot hear you, so give me 1 second. Okay, can you hear? Leslé, say something, make sure we can hear you now. Okay, you can hear her. I can't hear her. Okay. Monica can hear you now. Let me try again. One moment. Sorry for the technical. You can hear me, but you can't hear her. Okay. Give me 1 second. Well, I'm gonna. Give me 1 moment. Sorry for the difficulties, guys. I appreciate you. Just hold on for a second. Now change the screen, but we need to hear you. Okay. Okay, they're saying from your screen, from your view, it shows your mic, her mic is on mute, but I do not have her on mute. Okay, it's saying that you have muted yourself. Can you see a mic at the bottom of the screen that you're on, Leslé? And it's saying you're unmuted. Hmm. One second. Okay, gotcha. I see you, Leslé. Okay, thank you. She's gonna go out and come back in, and hopefully that will fix us. I apologize for that. Can everyone still hear me okay, though? Can you still hear me okay? Let me know. Can't hear anything now. Okay. Okay, can you hear me now? I'm good. Okay. So she's went out. We're going to try this again. I apologize for the technical difficulty, as long as we don't have another Teddy Riley kind of night. So let's try this again.
Can you hear me?
Okay, I can see you. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. So what's we're going to have another Teddy Riley kind of thing? Like, what's really going on
now? Because I got nervous.
Welcome. Yay. So glad to see you. Thank you. And thank you everyone for your patience with that. Oh, goodness. But, that's what happens when you're using technology. So things happen. So, yes, everyone can hear you. Welcome.
Chicago.
Yes. It's such a pleasure to see you. I'm down. I didn't say where I'm from. I'm actually in sunny southern Georgia. We were not going to talk about Georgia today. Or maybe you will in one of your poems.
Bless Georgia's heart. That's what we're going to say about Georgia.
All right, then. Well, of course, we've already given your wonderful introduction. So thank you so much for joining us this evening. You and I have been Facebook friends for a while, but never connected in this forum. So I'm certainly glad to be able to talk to you tonight.
I am thrilled. And it's one of the examples of how this very strange and sad and difficult time has allowed us to think of different ways to connect. And I don't know when I would have been in Georgia to be able to meet with you or see you face to face to share with you. And so now we have this great platform here, which I'm just really excited and happy to be a part of.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time out to do it and allowing us to reschedule. So before we get into the poetry, I do have some questions that I am going to ask you just to kind of get an idea more about you and your journey as an artist. So not a lot of questions because we want to get to the poetry. So that's the good stuff. So one of the things that I really love about your work is that you have a talent for looking to see what's going on in the world around us and then taking those thoughts and those feelings that all of us may be dealing with and learning how or knowing how to say what we might want to say in words that are much better than we would probably ever say it. So what is the thing that has inspired you to do that? Has that always been a part of your work, just taking those things, or is that something that you've grown into over time?
Oh, that's a great question, and no one has ever asked me that. It is definitely something that I've grown into over time. I've always wrote poetry, specifically since I was a very little girl. And in college, I had an opportunity to be nurtured and mentored. What I wrote in my journal was encouraged to share, and eventually became the editor of our literary journal at Xavier University in New Orleans. The literary journal is called New Voices, so very that. But this kind of writing in the moment happened a couple of years ago. And it started with the murder of a 9-year-old boy here in Chicago. His name was Tyshawn Lee. And I just kind of wrote a little something and I posted it on Facebook. And one of my girlfriends said, hey, you really need to make this public. I think other people would want to read it. And I'm like, nobody reading poetry on Facebook. This is not what they're on Facebook for, to read poetry. And she's like, no, make it public. And I did. And within a couple of days, it had got maybe about 13,000 shares.
Oh, wow.
And I was blown away, just floored that people would take the time out to read poetry. And that's what really started to kick off me tapping into writing with some immediacy. And then on the heels of Tyshawn Lee, we had the summer of 2016 where we experienced seeing police brutality with such immediacy because of social media. I mean, most brown and Black people know that it wasn't in a different amount. It wasn't by any means higher than it had been in years past. But the fact that we could see it happening, sometimes live, tapped into something else. So I wanted to write about people who, because of the high frequency, were just becoming hashtags, were just becoming names that would just go across your ticker on the news and forgotten about. And so that's when I really started to write that way, and it's just carried. It's something it's not of my own creation. I definitely know that the universe just taps into me, and I'm just a vessel, and I'm grateful to be that. I try to do it within 24 hours when something is happening. And sometimes I can get it out within a couple of minutes of something happening, almost like live tweeting, live. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful to try and process news in a way that keeps our humanity at the center of it, because I think that's the first thing that gets lost, especially when they're covering brown and Black death.
Absolutely. Absolutely. As I said, you do such a great job of it. And that is one of the ways that I ran across you. Plus, just having some mutual friends in Chicago. I actually lived there for about a little less than a year, several years ago. So I'm familiar with Chicagoland. So shout out to Chi-Town.
It's my adopted home, and I absolutely love it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now I mentioned when I read your bio, and you kind of touched on it as well, that you've been writing for many years and kind of started out writing in your journal even as a young person. Who or what was inspiring you at that time, for your writing? When did you first discover that gift?
I grew up in a community that was not diverse. It was a Black community. My mom is from Mexico. My dad is African American, and there weren't mixed kids. This was 80s and 90s. I mean, being biracial wasn't even on the census until the late 90s. Now that the census is coming back around, there were no Barack Obamas. Halle Berry was just kind of getting into that space, and there was no conversation about being biracial at that time. And I experienced a fair amount of bullying, a fair amount of just trying to figure out where I fit in. And I think at the time we have definitely grown as a society, thankfully. But at the time there was a pressure to associate yourself with one thing, like you could not be both. Right. And I retreated inward. So I would read a lot. And at some point I was like, as many of these stories as I'm reading and I'm loving, I'll just write my own. And it really started like that. And thankfully I had some amazing teachers who, read my stuff and really encouraged me. And that continued through high school. So just that importance of a mentor and somebody outside of the home who sees and pours into youth definitely carried me and built a foundation of what I always try to do, no matter if I'm working with adults or young people, but trying to find a pathway for somebody to let their soul speak. I think the arts is how we as brown and Black people have always processed trauma. It's how we've always made beauty out of pain. It's one of our greatest strengths is the arts. And so I try to find a pathway to help other people find their voice through that, because I know I would have been lost without mine. So that's kind of that's a long answer.
Oh, that's fine.
So yeah, lots of reading. I'm still an avid reader and a huge nerd. So being
Nothing wrong with
lost in somebody
that.
else's thoughts and finding how similar they are to my own is the beautiful thing about humanity, I think.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And you made me think, as I mentioned before you came on, that my father was the one who really read a lot and kind of got me in the habit of reading and things like that. And we have something in common because my dad's name was also Lewis. So, so we're Lewis girls.
I love that. My father really loved books. He loved a good story. He would tell us a story every night and actually self-published his first book about 2 years before he passed away, which was just really encouraged me to do the same. So he gave me a love of words and a love of fantasy, and yeah, it's one of his best gifts to me, and I'm very proud to be a Lewis girl with you.
Yes. So my next question, we know that you went to Xavier, one of our HBCUs.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
And one of my friend Tiffany is in here. She also attended one of the HBCUs as well. I'm not going to get it wrong. So if she puts it in the comments, I know it's in Ohio. I don't want to say the wrong one. But how did you feel, especially since you did grow up in an environment that was more segregated, so to speak? You didn't have a lot of diversity. Wilberforce, thank you. It was Wilberforce. That's where Tiffany went. Thank you, hon. But how did that experience of going to an HBCU after growing up in a different type of environment, how did that really impact your life?
Xavier shaped every part of me. It is I wish I could quantify it and make it small, but it was the place that that made me know what acceptance was. Mm-hmm. My father's family was all from New Orleans, so I would spend tons of summers there with my grandparents and aunts and uncles. But what Xavier did was it accepted my Blackness. There were people who looked, less Black than I look, that were, completely phenotypically, you would see from a distance and just would assume that they were white, but they were not. Right. And it was a place where I could express myself, where I could be. And I was welcomed, and nobody asked me what I was. I think that was a huge question in the 90s. What are you? What are you? Nobody asked me what I was at Xavier. They knew what I was, and I could be proud of it. And it gave me a community that I still lean on so heavily now. Mm-hmm. I have my girlfriends that I talk to every day. We chat, we FaceTime, we video conference. It is one of the greatest sources I've had of community. And attending an HBCU is so special. I think it's because it's one of the rare times in our lives that we will be completely surrounded by Black excellence. Mm-hmm. Our friends, the people that we date, our enemies, everyone is there with a focus of being excellent and being supported by excellence, where your failures are your failures, not because you're Black, but because you failed. And there's somebody that's going to make sure that you don't fail again. Your successes are your successes because you've worked hard. I can't describe it to someone who didn't attend an HBCU, but it is the greatest sense of family. And as it spreads out, even people that you may not have had connections with while you were there, when you meet them in the world, that pride of being grown in that same soil just sustains you. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful experience. And my heart breaks hearing so many of the stories of our kids at private white universities and institutions now experiencing great deals of racism and all that added pressure that we know is in the world. But we didn't have to experience that. We were you know, and I don't want to say we were coddled because they pushed the hell out of us. It is very much like, you will not embarrass us.
Right.
But we were loved. We were not numbers. We were not tuition. We were loved. We were part of a legacy that we were determined to celebrate and to respect and to shine in. So yeah, Xavier. Ooh, I can talk about Xavier all day. I love my Xavier. I don't. If I had to drink some more wine, I'll be singing our song.
And I don't know if you saw it or not, but one of the ladies that is in the group right now, her granddaughter is Xavier right now. So
yes, them Xavier
yes,
pretty and smart. That's a wonderful grandbaby.
All right. Well, last question before I let you get into sharing some of your wonderful art. Now, of course, you said you have adopted Chicago as your home. And as I mentioned before, I live there and I love it. It's just a little too cold for me in the wintertime. But I do love it.
Summer, it's worth it.
Oh, yeah. It's beautiful in the summer. I love it in the summer.
Yes.
But, of course, we know for quite a while now, there have been a lot of things going on in Chicago that, unfortunately, would give it a bad rap in the minds of some. But what I want you to share as a resident is something that would tell the rest of the world what the real spirit of Chicago is really all about.
I like to think of Chicago the way I think people can sometimes think of Black and brown people. That once the media gets a hold of a story, they spin it and you never see the totality of it. You see what they want you to see. And I think in so many ways, that is what has happened with this city that is so beloved to me right now. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. But the legacy of violence that is here was not created by us. It is a trail that starts with slavery, that goes to Black codes and Jim Crow and the Great Migration and Black belts and segregation and food deserts and lack of resources. It is systemic racism at its best, and it's worked to keep people away from resources, to keep them fighting over the bare minimum. So that has happened here, and that is where it comes from. However, what Chicago is to me and what made me fall in love with it is there is a spirit of resiliency here. There is a spirit of community. There is a beautiful and thriving arts community that tells our stories when no one else wants to tell them. And they tell them beautifully through music, through dance, through poetry, through sculpture. You name it, the creatives are here. I mean, this is the heart of so many people. I mean, it's far too many to list, but if you want to find avant-garde arts from Black people, Chicago is the epicenter of so much of it. We survive, we thrive, we get through really brutal winters because we know beauty's at the other side of it. And we lean on each other in ways that I haven't seen in other places. And we are there for each other. And we fight hard for each other. And it is full of so much beauty that it makes me fight harder to help solve the problems that we know we do have. So it has gotten a bad rap, but it's no more violent than New Orleans has been, or Detroit has been, or Los Angeles has been, or New York has been. It is not a perfect city, but it's full of people who want to make it the best that they possibly can, and will not abandon it, and will continue to fight and love on it. And that's the spirit of the people here, and that's why I love it.
All right, that's great. I love that. So, without any further delay, I'm going to turn the floor completely over to you.
and interject, ask questions.
Yes, and I can, and if people make comments, if you make comments, I can throw some comments up and things like that. So, just start wherever you want, share what you like to share, and
Oh, I will. And I like having a very interactive space. So I like talking about the piece, answering questions. So I'm going to be reading from my book, Fist and Fire.
Here's mine.
And the cover is done by my best friend, David Anthony Geary, who we talked a little bit about earlier in the show. We do have a weekly show we do on Facebook Live called Bestie Shine, where we talk about our friendship. But it's one of those beautiful things where we've been able to work together and help each other and lean on each other. And I love that about artists who aren't in the same medium, but can work together and bring out really beautiful things. So I'll hop into Fist and Fire. Whenever I do a reading of it, I love to start with the poem about Tyshawn Lee, because that's really how everything started for me, and I like to honor his memory that way. That's my lovely.
Right. You're like, hey,
in my room. So this is for Tyshawn. I don't care if his mama bought a car with donated money, or if his daddy was in every gang on the South Side. He was 9. He was executed. Someone looked him in his face and shot him multiple times in his uniform on his way to his granny's house. He probably smelled like outside, free and happy on a warm autumn day. Maybe he had a great day at school or did well on a test, got student of the week. His smile crushed at him. He was 9, full of little boy dreams. Maybe he liked Legos or X-Men or Minecraft, pizza and ice cream. Maybe he wanted a hoverboard for Christmas or for his birthday. So you can miss me with crucifying his parents. You sheep keeping, following everything the world throws at you to make you forget, make you no longer see his innocence, his humanity. If his skin wasn't brown, the entire world would be weeping. He was 9. Be outraged about that. So backstory on Tyshawn, after he was murdered, his mother did a GoFundMe, and people donated to the GoFundMe to help her bury her son, her 9-year-old baby, who was killed by gang members walking to his grandmother's house after school. And the GoFundMe raised a lot of money. And she bought a car. She was on public transportation, and she had other children. And people were very offended about her buying a car. And I couldn't wrap my mind around that. If my child had been killed because he was walking somewhere, and now I've been afforded with an opportunity to purchase a car and put my other babies in them and drive them back safely to and fro, and add another layer of safety to that. But the conversation became about that. And it no longer became about Tyshawn's murder. And so this is the piece that I wrote. It was my first viral piece. The first time I got hate mail. So
wow, hate mail.
Oh yeah, people were very they get very frank in your inbox when they're strangers, and who cares about some gangbanger's kid getting killed? Wow. It's his daddy's fault. And yeah.
Wow.
So, even the author Zane, who was a very erotic book, Zane reposted the poem and just went into town on the parents and on me for
supporting them.
Tyshawn. Yeah.
Wow.
So that was my first experience on how to navigate poetry and social media. And I try to say his name as many times as possible to as many people, so we don't forget him.
Right. And like Monica just said, he was 9.
He was 9. He was a 9-year-old baby. So I will continue. The next piece I like to do is backpacks. And I love doing backpacks because I would get so many emails and inboxes from mothers who were not Black, and who would, say stuff like, "Oh, it's not all about race," and, well, if that, if he was just doing what he was supposed to do, he wouldn't got shot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this was around Tamir's murder, and I just was realizing they just didn't get what it felt like to be the mother of a Black boy, and so I wrote Backpacks. When Black boys are born, we mothers kiss their faces, twirl our fingers in their curls, put them in carriers on our chest to show them to the world, our tiny Black princes. And when they start school as early as 3, we mothers place huge backpacks on their backs, and we slowly fill them with bricks, etched with tools, tattooed with truths, hoping to save them. Don't talk back. Don't get angry. Say yes, ma'am. Say no, sir. Don't fight, even if they hit you first, especially if they are white. Do your best, better than best. Be still. Work hardest. Brick. They get a little older and we add more. Keep your hands out of your pockets. Don't look them in the eye. Don't challenge. Don't put your manhood before your life. Just get home safe. Don't walk alone. Don't walk with too many boys. Don't walk toward police. Don't buy candy or iced tea. Don't put your hood up. I'll drive you. I'll pick you up. You can't be free. Don't go wandering. Come home to me. Brick. They get a little older and we add more. Understand you are a threat. Standing still. Breathing. Your degrees are not a shield. Your job is not a shield. Your salary makes you a target. Your car makes you a target. Your nice house in a nice neighborhood makes you a target. Don't put your ego before your safety. Don't talk back. Don't look them in the eye. Get home to your wife, your son. Brick. They weigh them down, this knowing of having to carry the load of their Blackness. The world hasn't changed. The straps just dig deeper into their skin. Their backs ache, but their souls don't break our beautiful Black men. So when you say to me, all lives matter, I simply ask, will your son die with the world on his back? Mine will. So,
It's
and
powerful, very.
thank you. And that was one of the first pieces where I had mothers who weren't Black message me and say, I didn't know that is what you think, when you bring your babies out into the world. I had no idea. I never would have to have this conversation with my son. So I hope that it continues to spark conversations and help people see that the reality of what happens when we send our children into the world is that we don't know if they're going to come back. We don't know if people who are supposed to protect them are going to. And so often we see that they don't. They do the complete opposite. So that was one of those pieces that showed me that we could have a conversation through poetry.
Yes. And so we have some people leaving some comments. Powerful truth. Oh my God, so well put. Powerful. It definitely is, because there are people who don't realize what the experience is at all. So I thank you for putting it into eloquent words.
In the book, there's a sister piece called "And the Light Dims" about Black girls. I'm not going to read that tonight, but if you buy the book, you can read it. And it is, a sister piece to what goes on with our daughters. And my oldest daughter was reading some of my work, and she said, "Hey, you writing a lot about Black boys. We experience stuff too."
Mm-hmm.
But on that note, I am going to read a poem about girls, and also a poem that talks about us experiencing this brutality for our entire existence here on these United States. And I just see a message. You can purchase my book through my website. So it's LeslehOnoré.com. Leslé Honoré, just a spelling of my government name. And oh, look at you. I saw it. There we go. It's popping up.
It doesn't want to stay there, but there it is.
Yes, there's a link to purchase my book there. So this poem, I'm not in the poetry world. So what we're doing tonight is a reading. We're doing a reading. There are different ways that poetry is performed. People are familiar, I think, with slam poetry, like Love Jones. I'm in competitions like Louder Than a Bomb. But that's not what I do because I'm old and I can't memorize stuff. So I need to read it. And typically what we're not supposed to do as poets is to give you an explanation about the poem beforehand. So this one, I'm going to let us just have a conversation about it afterwards. And this is called Four Little Girls and Mine. As I brushed Scarlett's hair this morning, trying to be gentle, braiding bits of my heart into pigtails, smoothing the fuzzies, laying baby hairs, tying ribbons to match your dress, knowing that we only have a few more years of bows and barrettes. 8 will be 14 soon. I kiss her forehead and think she will go into school feeling loved, looking loved, being loved. And at 3:45, she will hop into our car and chatter about her day, annoy her siblings, and I will take her home. My mind traveled, being the vagabond that it is, south to Birmingham, 53 years ago, to a memory that is not of my life, but in my soul, to a Sunday morning before church, when 4 mothers braided bits of their hearts, twirled curls around fingers, tied ribbons, smooth skirts, kissed foreheads with the same swelling of pride as I had this morning, sent their 4 girls bouncing and skipping to worship, to praise, to hope, to love, sending them to know God without knowing that evil was going to send them to see God's face. I'm sure they greased scalps, popped a fidgeting head or two with the back of a comb or brush. I'm sure there were whispers of don't get dirty, sit like a lady, mind your manners, and tell so-and-so's mama I said hello. I'm sure those 4 girls sat between their mother's knees, just as Scarlett sat between mine and complained that a barrette was not her favorite or that her ponytail was too tight. I don't know if they held hands as they walked to church or skipped in front of their mothers, but I know they were unknowingly sent to their deaths, feeling loved, looking loved, being loved. I know their mothers kissed a cheek, kissed a forehead, kissed with I see you later, but it was goodbye. Today, when homework is done and bellies are full and bodies are bathed, and as I tie silk scarves around my daughter's hair, we will say their names. We will send them our love. We will pray, and we won't forget. So that piece was, of course, about the 4 little girls in Birmingham who were murdered after church was bombed. And actually, I believe it was 6 in total. 6 young people were killed, and one of the girl sisters survived. And talks a lot about that experience. She was actually here at St. Sabina Church with Father Flager recently during Black History Month, talking about that. So when people like to say, well, kids are behaving a certain way or they have no respect for authority and it's something new that's happening that our kids are being murdered. And the truth is, that is just the American way, is to kill Black and brown babies. That's what we've done since this country began. And this was actually one of your pieces that you asked.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. I appreciate you for reading and trying not to tear up. Hearing that, I actually had an opportunity to visit that church a few years ago. And yeah, it's very powerful to think when you're walking in that stairwell, and just to know that that's where it happened. So yes, yes. I thank you for sharing that, because just making the parallel, those four little girls, just like you or I as a little girl, just like your daughter as a little girl. So thank you so much for sharing that one for me and for everyone.
You're welcome. So the book Fist and Fire is actually in 3 sections. The first fist is just reflections about social injustices that we're experiencing, during a time period about around end of 2015 through the end of 2016. And then the second portion of the book is fire. And it is, it is, let me tell you, you date a poet, they will write about you. So you better treat them right. So it's about the beginning of a relationship when it is all fire and heat and wonderful, and the end of it where it's just the embers and you are trying to figure out what happened, what happened with this great love that you had. So the next piece I'm going to read is called Growing and Ghosting.
Okay. Another one I like.
Growth comes when you no longer hope to build your life with him. In his arms, in his lips, in the scent of him that lingers on your skin. Growth comes when you know that you are the foundation, the air, the earth, the fire, the water that someone is dreaming of building his life with. Growth comes when you no longer beg for what no longer wants you. When you hold the phone but do not call, when you hold the pen and write only goodbyes. Growth comes when you remember a man will pursue what he wants. He will make a way out of no way. He will build bridges in the air. He will stop at nothing when he sees his destiny. Growth comes from knowing flowers don't fly to the bees. Growth comes from longing to be loved and no longer longing for his love. It comes when you can appreciate 2 years of perfection and not drown in losing a lifetime of joy. It comes when the entire day has passed, rise to set, and you have not wept, or curled into moments hibernating in memories when you rest your body and have not thought of him, even to acknowledge that you have not thought of him. Growth comes when you can admit that all of the above is bullshit. Lies you tell yourself to function, to breathe, to not disintegrate into the abyss the way his love did.
All right.
And that was process, a breakup. Ooh, child, it's so funny when you're like, it is the end of the world. So this was my first major relationship after my ex-husband had left. And so I'd spent some years of just being about me and the kids. And when I was ready to get back out there, I fell in love, and I fell in love hard. And I was like, "Ooh, this is it. This is it." And that was because the love had long died with my ex-husband. But when this was the heartbreak that I was embarrassed that I had. Like, I know I'm not doing the Disney princess, throw myself across the bed, cry on this one. Girl, I know. I was like, this is not what's happening. But as with all things, as time passes and you go back to it and you're like, what was I even hurt one even person? Thank you, God, for removing them from my life.
Absolutely.
But in the moment, it was something ugly. So we're going to move on from that.
Absolutely. We've many of us have been there, got the t-shirt, got a couple t-shirts.
Bumper sticker, the shot glass, and the refrigerator magnet, honey. And we can visit it again. It can stay right where it's at. So the next piece I'm going to going to write, and it's something I'm going to read. It's something I do often when I write. Sometimes I write from the voice of somebody who is no longer here, no longer with us, because I just think they deserve to have a moment. And I'm going to break the rules again and give a backstory for this. So a couple of years ago, some people looking at Thomas Jefferson's house, Monticello, found a room attached to his bedroom. And there was all this speculation that, this was the lovely escape where he got with Sally Hemings. And there were these people who had just made it a love story of a slave and her master. And I was so disgusted and appalled by it. And by the people saying, well, you don't know what happened. And they were together for a long time and she had lots of kids. And I'm like, that's what happens when you're owned by somebody. You don't really.
Right. Not like you had a choice.
Right. So I wrote this piece from Sally's perspective, and it's called Sally Speaks. I cannot be your mistress and your slave. I can't be your lover if you own me from birth to grave. That wasn't my room adjacent to his, it was my cell. For quick access for his pleasure and my help. I can't consent while being owned. I can't say yes if I'm not allowed a no. I was born from rape. I was born to be raped and to birth after rape. I was not woman. I was thing, possession, chattel, inventory, soulless, 3/5, a price on a ledger, breeder, exploited, exotic, alone, captive, dead before death. Not even my breath belonged to me. The slave has no agency. Did it arouse your founding father when I wept, when I screamed from the pain I bore beige babies that would never collect their inheritance, but were left denied, forgotten, trash from my womb, reminders of your perversion, the abomination of you wanting me. I can't be your mistress and your slave. I bear witness from cradle to grave, and I hold these truths to be self-evident that all founding fathers were created evil. So that was my piece for Miss Sally. And it is
one on my list as well. So thank you.
I tried to hit it I could from your list. It was important to me. I like it. So staying with the theme of slavery, because it's such a lovely theme, but it is one we just don't talk about. Every country on this planet that has had some abomination. If we think about, genocide in Armenia or the Holocaust in Germany, there are memorials to it. They talk about it in their history books. They grieve. There is even in Australia a National Day of apology where people apologize to the Aboriginal people. Is it enough? No, but at least it is some sort of an acknowledgement of the atrocities that were done. And we haven't got there yet. We don't talk about our founding fathers as slave owners. We don't talk about it was like make America great again. America was never, but wasn't even America. The people upset about, renaming Christopher Columbus Day, Indigenous Peoples Day, and honoring that genocide. We just don't want to face it in America. We don't like talking about the ugly birth of our country. So I try when I get moments to write about that. And a couple of years ago, I visited family in New Orleans and had an opportunity to go to the plantation where my ancestors were both owners and owned. It's the Destrehan Plantation. It's still standing in New Orleans. And when I was doing my research prepping for it, I learned lots of fascinating things about it. The only thing that they changed were the floors, but all the bricks and the carvings and the actual houses is the house that was made by my ancestors. So it was very powerful to be there and put my hands on the bricks my ancestors made. It's also the plantation where Beyonce shot a ton of her film art, Lemonade. It's where scenes from 12 Years a Slave were filmed, Interview with a Vampire was filmed. And they have on the website where you can go and look at the slave registries.
Mm.
And I looked, and they had it listed, honoree, female, 3 children, $300. And I was at my little cubicle and I just lost it because I'm honoree, I'm female, and 3 children, and wondered what would my price be. So my daughter and I went to stand on the soil, breathe the air, and touch the trees, and just pay honor to the people who had gone before us. And so this piece is from that experience. And I just think it's a good sister to Sally Hemings.
Yes.
I entered the plantation, like I do with most moments in my life, divided, dual, living paradox, 1 foot Black, 1 foot Latina. I entered the plantation both owner and owned, both master and slave, both free and forever captive, both entitled and lost, alone and holding my daughter's hand, angry and in awe. I entered the plantation with gratitude and rage, wanting to pray and scream, to cherish and burn it to the ground. It was all too much. The earth they walked on, the air they breathed, the Spanish moss hanging from branches, did my ancestors hang from them too? The bricks in the walls of the big house made by slaves, I touched them slowly, reverently, imagining the hands that made them, laid them, the hands that were the foundation of that house, of my family, of my country, this place where my ancestors walked, where slaves rebelled, where slaves were executed, this place designed by a free man of color, furniture carved by a free man of color, owned by a free man who enslaved people of color, this place of indigo and sugarcane, of Senegal and France, Louisiana purchased, humans purchased, the earth I stood on purchased with the blood that flows through my veins. I left the plantation with my daughter's hand in mine, head high, heart heavy, wanting reparations, wanting birthrights, wanting sobs, begging for my forgiveness, for my children's forgiveness. I wanted to scream, get off my land. It's mine 1,000 times over. Payment has been made 1,000 lives over. I walked in with questions. I walked out with answers. This place, both beginning and end, life and death. I found completion in the air. I inhaled survival, strength, resistance, resilience. Beneath my feet, I found hope, healing, found new hatred, my existence, my children's existence, my people's existence is an eternal jihad. I left with a new fire, with the heat of 1,000 suns, with the cries of 1,000 souls. I left and I took my ancestors with me.
Yes.
So,
That's good. And that is quite, and I'm sorry, that's quite an interesting history to have had, that your family owned slaves and were slaves, or enslaved, I should say.
Exactly. It was, and very complex. So the plantation owner, Jean Noel Destrehan Honoré, he ended up keeping the Destrehan and giving the name Honoré to the children born enslaved there. He was also appointed by Thomas Jefferson to help with the Louisiana Purchase. There are letters in a small museum on the plantation from Thomas Jefferson to John Noel. And just a ton of history. This very weird understanding of, this French ancestry. and where it came from, learning that my people were from Senegal, which was occupied by France, which was, an easy way to bring French-speaking slaves over, and just enslave
Wow.
people. And that is how my father's history began in this country. And to be able to trace it back was both an honor, because a lot of people can't. We
Right.
used the census a lot, and so we would see where the lineage would stop, where there wasn't any more record. And it was easy to understand that was because it was an enslaved person who,
Right.
wasn't person enough to record,
Mm-hmm.
count their life and their death. So it was very, very surreal. I haven't been back. I go back to visit my family often in New Orleans, and I haven't got to the place where I could go back yet.
Right.
Because it was a lot. It was a lot. But a lot of pride too. There was a major slave uprising that happened, and a lot of sorrow, because 45 slaves were executed on that land, and they have a small museum talking about the revolt. So just knowing that even in the depths of enslavement, that there was a longing for freedom and a resiliency and a perseverance to fight for it, knowing that you could lose your life, also just filled me with a fire and a gratitude for the people who survived the unthinkable so that I could be here. It shifted how I felt and saw a lot.
Well, thank you for sharing, as well as the family history. You are fortunate, because so many of us, we just don't have that type of information about who we are, where we come from. That's one of my goals for this year, to finally go ahead and do the DNA, the African ancestry, just to see. But even that's only going to be a piece, because it's just one part of the family. So. But yes, anything just to have some kind of insight into who we are and where we come from, because we know that, we are awesome people, no matter where we come from, because we are the ones who survived. But just to have a little more insight and to be able to have that connection, that's, very meaningful. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. How much time do we have?
We've got a few more minutes. If you can give us maybe one more, and then we can start, the process of letting everybody know how to get in touch with you and all of that.
Well, so I will close with a piece that is the last piece in Fist and Fire. And it is one of our has become a piece that a lot of people really love to hear. I write for other people. I write for our time. I write for the silenced, and sometimes I write for myself. And so this was one of the pieces that was for me. And it's called Dear Body. Dear Body. Yesterday, Sandria Washington posted a video about a woman coming to terms with feeling too tall most of her life. I reflected on feeling too tall, not wanting to wear heels, feeling like I just took up too much space. I realized that for probably more than half of my 40 plus years, I have not loved you, my body. Early on, you were too much. You were too tall, too much boob, too much leg. I just took too much for a teen to deal with. I didn't know how to walk in the glory that was you. You made me afraid when you called attention to me that I didn't want and I couldn't process. You made me look like a woman when I was very much still a girl. Part of me still hates you for that. In early adulthood, I didn't pay enough attention to you. I didn't revel in youth and freedom or the beauty that I had no idea I possessed. I was busy learning how to be an adult, learning how to find my passion. I took you for granted. I did not celebrate you. Then, in the wrong marriage that came with the wrong kind of love, I did my best to diminish you, to not draw too much attention to you. He would become annoyed and angry when too many men noticed me, so I tried not to shine too brightly, because the better I felt about you and I, the worse he felt about himself, and the worse my world became. Then the many humans came, and with each pregnancy, I marveled in your strength and all of its magic that you had, feeling like a goddess, making a life. Birth and breastfeeding were just the beginning. Being a mother transformed how I looked at you. You no longer belong to just me. I thought that you could never, ever belong again to just me. I talked about how you no longer belong to just me. In fact, it no longer really began me understanding me. I was lost between mother and woman, searching for ways to join them. I had always felt like I had taken up too much space, too big, too loud, too bright. And now here you and I were, me and my bigger body, bolder. Somehow I started to focus just on what I thought were your imperfections. And it wasn't even that I struggled to find my own beauty. I just stopped looking for it. I stopped looking at you. As depression often does, the cycle spun around and around, feeding upon itself. The darkness became darker. Without knowing how we got there we were, you and I in a rut, depressed, feeling more than alone, not feeling strong or powerful or beautiful, feeling functional at best. And then an amazing thing happened. My bestie put down his paintbrushes and picked up a camera. He took some pictures of me and I saw myself differently. I saw some woman who looked pretty dope. I saw roles that I had hated looking like soft love. I saw arms that made homes for many humans. I saw feet that could dance away the pain. I saw a belly that has never been flat, but has always been a magnet for 3-year-olds to bury their faces in, full of tears or crashing in for a hug. And I saw sexy. For the first time in a long time, I saw sexy. I saw the small of my back arching. I saw a butt that babies helped me grow. I saw breasts that after 3 nursing children finally were mine again. I saw hips that could sway to any beat. I saw thick thighs that could save lives. I trusted someone to show me you, and you and I have never been the same. I'm sorry for not seeing you sooner, for not running naked in water fountains in college, for being afraid of wearing 5-inch heels. I'm sorry for not pampering you, thinking that only single-digit sizes deserved attention. I'm sorry for not speaking about you with less than loving words, for not letting you dance more often, for turning the lights off when we made love. I'm sorry for hating you. Thank you, though, for always loving me. I don't have to promise to love you because I already do immensely. I do promise to say nice things to you more often. I promise to stand in the mirror and look at you fresh out of the shower and tell you that your jiggle is marvelous. I promise to wear Spanx less often, to let you breathe, to not try and conform you into a body type you aren't. I promise to wear a bikini every summer. They are not just for a size 4. Your belly deserves to be summer brown too. I promise to eat more veggies and drink more water, to find ways to move daily, even if it's just a cumbia down the aisles of Target. I promise to get more massages, to use great products, to take nude photos, to leave the lights on when we get busy. I promise not to spend the next 50 or more years hating you, reminiscing on youth long gone, but to be grateful for every day that I have you, my body.
Yes. That was another one that I really love and can relate. And I know my mom is watching, so she will fuss at me sometimes about beating up on myself for all the things that aren't and remembering to love what is. So I thank you for sharing that, because I'm sure that there are others that listen that go through the same thing, and just hearing your words and expressing it in the way that you did, I really appreciate it. I'm sure others will as well.
Thank you for asking for that piece. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. So if there are any comments, go ahead and drop them in the box now because we're about to start wrapping it up. So, okay. Yes. Someone says, love that. Self-love.
Yes.
All right. So that's a good comment. Thank you so much. So as we are preparing to wrap up, I'm going to throw your information back up here just so people know about your, let me see, one more comment before I do that. Well, thank you for the beautiful moment during this dark time. That comes from Monica. So thank you, Monica.
Thank you for making this platform so we could do this. It definitely helps me because it is dark and it is heavy.
It is. It is. And, you know, it's just one of the things, you know, as I mentioned earlier on, I've been doing Brown Girl Collective for quite a while. The last couple of years, not as much because I did lose my dad a couple of years ago. And it's just a lot of things that went on with me emotionally dealing with that. One of the things I started doing was the paintings you see behind me. So that, and actually this is Intozaki, so my poet. My take on Intozaki and the Color Girls. So
yes,
that's one of the things so yeah, that's one of the things that I started doing, but I realized that I missed being in Brown Girl Collective on a regular basis. And I didn't want it to be just a thing of posting facts or information. I wanted it to be something more interactive. So actually you are my first guest. So thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So tell us how, I have your website up. Tell us of how we can stay in touch with you, connect with you on social media, what you have coming up next, just all that good stuff.
So the website is a great place to go and see any upcoming events, which I hope we can get back to.
Right.
But I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and my Facebook page are all just my name. So you can find me there. And I do the majority of my posting that way so we can share it and have it together. I don't have anything coming up booked right now with the pandemic that pretty much closed any public events. So it was very, very great to have this one. But what I do have coming out soon is my next book, Letters in Lagniappe. And Lagniappe is a French Creole word that means a little something extra. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. It will be all the information will be on social media, but please connect with me there. I love being able to have conversations and to continue to build a community that we can lean on each other and find the way that art connects us all. This was such a treasure, and I'm so honored. Thank you for having me here. This was
yes, absolutely, because I love your work. And you mentioned Sandria in your last poem. That's the connection initially, because I know her through Girl Trek.
Yep.
and she must have posted something that you wrote, and I'm like, oh, I need to friend her. So that's the connection.
Yes.
And I'm a tall girl too.
I would be remiss to say that my TEDx talk.
I watched you there for a second.
Oh, hold on, am I back? Am I still here? Did you lose me?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I don't know what happened. Can everyone hear her still? I lost it all of a sudden. Oh, no. But it might be my headset.
Oh no.
Hold on one second. Okay, you're back.
Oh, yeah. So I was just saying about connection. I would be remiss if I did not mention that my TEDx talk dropped this weekend, The Power of Connection, and you can find it on my page or on YouTube as well. So look it up, listen to it. It was such a dream come true to be able to do a TED Talk. And it's all about how we can connect. And that really being at the heart of humanness is connecting to one another.
Right, and actually I did share it in the BGC book club in that group. So if you are a part of that group, you will be able to see it there. Or then, as I mentioned, you can go ahead and, she mentioned you can go ahead and look it up on her social media as well as the website. So, well, what I'm going to do as it pertains to the things that we have coming up in a couple of days, let me go ahead. I'm learning this technology, y'all, so bear with me. in a couple of days, there is going to be another event coming up on Thursday. We will have Jessica Care Moore. I have that scrolling at the bottom now. She'll be here on Thursday at 8 o'clock. So I'm looking forward to that. Actually, I have her book here as well. That was backwards, but we want our, well, actually, it's not backwards. We want our bodies back. So she'll be on to talk about that. She released the book, I believe, at the end of last month. So we'll see her there. And then also a week from today, we will be having our first actual book discussion. In order to be a part of the book discussion, you do have to get into the book club because we want it to be more intimate where, you can ask questions and things like that. So I've just put that information up on how you can get into the BGC book club for that upcoming discussion. We are doing Terry McMillan's new book. It's Not All Downhill from Here. So if you haven't had a chance to read it yet, you got a week to get it read, or get the audio. Yeah, you got the time. Yeah, what else are you doing? I'm just kidding. I'm actually still working, believe it or not. Still 40 hours just working from home. That's all. So, but yeah, if you have the time or do the audio or whatever, we will be doing that on next Monday. And then at that time, I will announce the next book that we will be doing as well. So I'm just going to check the comments again right quick to make sure we're not missing anything before we sign off for the night. Let's see. J.K. Hill Williams says, that was marvelous. Thank you. Nisi Dunn says, awesome job, ladies. Wanda Lloyd says, yes. And actually, give you a sneak preview. Wanda Lloyd has the book that we will be reading in for the month of June, but we'll talk more about that later. But she is an author and spent many years as a journalist. So that's kind of timely, just talking about journalism. That's her thing. So she's gonna come on and she'll actually talk about her book live with us. So that's pretty much it. Thank you, my sisters. Thanks, this was awesome. And I'm going to get the book. Love the words, very deep. Great comments. So I have kept you all about 15 minutes longer than I originally stated because of those technical difficulties. Those Teddy Riley difficulties. I'm just kidding. I'm gonna leave Teddy alone. So I thank everyone for coming on board. Thank you again, Leslé, for coming in and being a part of the group. And we hope to hear from you more. And definitely let me know and let us know when your new book comes out, because we would love to support that as well as the one that you have out now. So thank you so much, everyone. God bless. Stay safe. Yes, I got mine too. See, I'm already in it. Got stuff bookmarked and everything. Can't really see it because of the light, but I do. But yeah, we thank you for being here. Everybody stay safe. Stay inside if you can. Wash your hands. All those things that you need to do, because we do want to be able to continue to communicate with you and love on you in any way that we can. So thanks so much. Have a good night. See you soon. All right. Bye-bye.